Hey folks, welcome to Airtime Paintball, where people come to find out all the information they need to get great deals on paintball stuff. And today, we're taking a look at the Planet Eclipse Geo 4. Super sexy. Should you buy one? So, Geo 4, one of the coolest new guns around. Planet Eclipse announced this and the LV-16 during Paintball Extravaganza this past winter, and they were slated for release, both of them, during the spring, like kind of mid to late spring. And unfortunately, of course, we all know, right, the impact of COVID-19 on everywhere in the world, on parts supply and manufacturing capacity, etc., like everywhere else, has really taken a toll on Planet Eclipse. And instead of the big rollout they were hoping for, they've really only been able to come with sort of trickle in. There's lots of pre-orders of these that still aren't even filled. They're really hard to get, and it's very highly anticipated. So, in fact, the very first LV 1.6s, I think, literally are just appearing like in the last 2 days. So we'll be taking a look at one of those pretty soon too. I've got one of those coming. But these are coming in a little bit at a time. I managed to get a hold of one so we could take a look at it together, and let's find out about it. So the Geo 4, in order to kind of understand this gun, let me back up a little bit. When this was announced, and even still all the way to today, there's been some confusion about exactly where it fits in the Geo 3, Geo 3.5, this is a Geo 4 versus CS1, CS 1.5, like what's different in which kind of guns. And so we're going to go through that a little bit to help clear up the misunderstandings, or at least help educate folks so they really know where it falls in the line. So the previous Geo platform, so let's start with the Geo 3, Geo 3.5, totally different body, and a lot is different. Electronics are different, solenoid is different, but it is, and those are, I should say, IV core guns. It's actually, I think, optional in the 3, standard in the 3.5, IV core. Lots of people love the IV core. The common wisdom, and we're going to talk about that, I always say that, right, is that it's a softer shot than a gamma core gun. Well, lots of people love those Geos. And then on the kind of the other side of the aisle, we have a CS1, CS 1.5, CSR. Those are also IV core guns. Now, in amongst those, and the way Planet Eclipse names them, frankly, doesn't do us any favors in the area of understanding that. So let's take a look at that real quick. We have the Geo 3 and Geo 3.5 aren't hugely different. The 3.5 came with an IV core stock. Of course, this is an IV core in this gun. It was an option in the 3, and lots of people have upgraded to the IV core. Common wisdom is, and we're going to talk about this, that the IV core is a kind of a softer, gentler shot at the cost of some efficiency compared to the gamma core guns. And so like I said, the 3 can use an IV core. I think is an option. 3.5 came with it, and but they have a different makeup inside. The electronics are different than this gun, different solenoid, etc. All the things that make it shoot apart from the actual core are not the same as in this gun from the 3.5 to the 4. However, the CS1 has also the IV core, and all of the internals of this gun are the same as a CS1. Everything that makes this gun shoot is the same as a CS1. And I don't mean it's similar to a CS1, or it's like a CS1, or reminiscent of a CS1, or based on a CS1. It is a CS1. The board is the same, the solenoid is the same, the core is the same, all the same internals. So from a what makes it shoot a paintball perspective, it's a CS1. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Everything that makes it work as far as electronics, solenoid, core, like I said, is a CS1, but the ergonomics quite a bit different. The body is clearly much different. This is actually my favorite Planet Eclipse gun in modern times aesthetically. I love the milling, really nice finish on it. I really like these a lot. But compared to a CS1, the ergonomics are quite a bit different. The rear grip has a much more vertical angle than a CS1 does. So it has a lot of different feel. It's actually much closer to a CS2 in feel when you're holding it. The foregrip is a bit different, but the overall shape and how it feels in your hand is very similar to a CS2. And for those of you who don't know, I keep mentioning how CS1 is all the same stuff in here, and that goes for a CS 1.5 and a CSR as well. The CS2 is a gamma core gun. It's completely different inside. So as far as current guns that are available now from Planet Eclipse, there's sort of parallel lines. We have the CS2 and the Geo 4 occupy mostly the same price space now, because CS2s have come down a little bit. I think they're $12.95 at A&S, for example. And these are also, I think these are actually $11.95. But they're both, you know, sort of high-end guns. They're both the top of the line. We have this with the IV core and the CS2 with the gamma core. And really, if you're looking to buy and you're trying to buy a new high-end gun and you like Planet Eclipse, those would be, you know, those are kind of the two that you're looking for. So when we're comparing this gun to what else is currently available now, again, CS2, right? So what's the difference? Well, CS2 being a gamma core gun, the shot has a much different feel, and we're going to be looking at some shooting videos I just made earlier with this gun and a CS2, so we can kind of compare the two. The typical description that you'll get from people is that the gamma core is a bit more efficient. It's not quite as soft or smooth feeling as this, and it's very, very reliable. Now, that's not to say that IV core guns aren't unreliable. This is a reliable gun. But you do probably need to pay a bit more attention to regular maintenance, right? If you're someone who tends to ignore maintenance and stretch out where you really should have cleaned your gun a month ago and you still haven't, but you're still playing with it, a gamma core is going to treat you better than an IV core, frankly. But if you are someone who follows the recommended maintenance schedule in the manual, no matter what gun you have, then this gun's going to be every bit as reliable as a gamma core, frankly. I mean, they shoot great. They're quite reliable. One feature that you get on this gun, and again, you can see these on CS1, CS 1.5, CSR, and other IV core guns. This little spot right here, I'm going to hold it up. Hopefully you can see this in the video. That is SFR, which is Solenoid Flow Restrictor. And that's adjustable from a position that is roughly 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And the closer to 12 o'clock it is, that speeds up. Oh, let me back up a little bit. What it does is, just like it sounds, it restricts the flow of air from the solenoid. So when it's in the 12 o'clock position, you have very small amount of air venting out of the solenoid, and it's all being used, or not all, but nearly all, being used to move the bolt, and that makes the bolt speed faster. The more you adjust it towards 3 o'clock, that allows more air to vent versus air that's used to move the bolt, and that makes that sound, that sort of two-stage vent then pop sound, and that slows the speed of the bolt down and can soften the feel. So it's really neat that on the fly, you can, this gun for feel, it's not really a performance thing, right? We're all shooting at 10.5 or under. So this will do 10.5 even at the slowest bolt speed. So it's not really a performance issue for how we're typically playing these days. But it's really neat that in real time, you can really tune the feel of this gun from pretty quick and snappy to pretty sort of soft and I don't know, like you know, that venting sound becomes more pronounced, and the sound signature is quieter, and the general feel is quite a bit softer with that lower bolt speed. And you can adjust that entirely just by turning this adjustment. No other board adjustment is necessary. No monkeying with dwell is required. None of that. You simply adjust this little thing, turn it back and forth, and you can play with how it feels until you get to a setting that you like. So that's a great feature on these guns, in my opinion. You have all the regular standard stuff that you're going to get on every high-end gun. Toolless, eye covers, makes maintenance very easy. These run on 2 AA's. You have the LED board in the back. Now, one of my criticisms of Planet Eclipse in other reviews, and I still stand by it today, is this in the day, you know, in the day where we have like a dye gun with that great big color screen, even MacDev's midline guns for you know, $600 and $700 have a color OLED screen. Now it's not quite as big, but it's a much nicer screen. This is frankly a letdown. I mean, this screen was great 10 years ago. Now it's dated and it's not that easy to read. They actually added a magnifying lens over the top of that display to make it appear bigger. And frankly, I think it makes it harder to read. I have to kind of move it around now to be able to see all the text in there. Whereas without that thing, you can just look straight at it and see it all. I don't think it's an improvement at all. It was an attempt to band-aid. It's not just this gun either, by the way. That's on the CS2 as well. But in my opinion, that's just an attempt to band-aid what is a poorly executed feature on what is supposed to be a premium high-end gun. And I really hope that the next generation of Planet Eclipse guns addresses this. I mean, this screen wasn't that good 8 years ago, and now it's kind of a disaster. I mean, I just don't like the screen at all when I'm talking about a high-end gun. They come with the Shaft FL barrel system, very nice two-piece barrel system. They only come with the 1.689 insert, but others are available from your Planet Eclipse retailer, so you can put a barrel kit together out of this. The barrels shoot very well, like most barrels, right? They're pretty quiet, very high manufacturing quality. The threads are great. They fit together very tightly. Certainly nothing wrong with the barrel kit. Grips are your standard fare pretty much for most Planet Eclipse grips. Now, the rubber is not super soft, but it's not a hard plastic. It's a good grippy rubber. I say that every gun review I do, I use the word grippy for the grips. Oh, the grips are grippy. They provide sufficient grip for sure. They wear very well, and they are toolless. You can entirely take them off just by, you can see, you can slide these clips forward, and here, in fact, I'll take it off. Slide these clips forward, and then right here, get your thumb under there to peel this off, get it on the other side, and the back just pops right off. And then the whole thing just peels off, and you can see the guts. And if you have a CS1, or if you've seen a CS1, it should look familiar because, like I said, exactly the same as a CS1. And then the front grip, I have a really bad elbow, so this is kind of hard for me. Oh, it came off pretty easy. Just pulls off to reveal AA batteries installed in the foregrip. So, and then of course now we hear this little clip snaps, and the toolless eyes just come off. Trying to do it backwards is a little bit difficult, but I mean, not really. I'm just saying my view isn't great here. Just pop right off, pop them back in, slide that forward, and it's back on. And I'll put this back together for you. So this part of all new Planet Eclipse guns, or modern Planet Eclipse guns, is very well executed. I've complained before in some of my reviews about die toolless grips. I love the way they feel. The way they attach and come off especially is a disaster. I mean, I've done it a lot. I mean, I'm not a Dell service technician or anything. I'm sure Billy Wing is very good at getting them on and off. But I've taken those things on and off a lot, and I still struggle with it, doing it and not like tearing them or hurting them. These have no such issues. You can just see I didn't even have to concentrate really. I was talking to you and thinking about how the various grip things go together and thinking about die, and I just kind of put it together on the side without even thinking about it. And very well executed. So yeah, that's kind of the overview of the Geo 4. I made some videos shooting it, and I'm going to cut to those now, and we're going to take a look at shooting this and shooting a CS2, and kind of get the impressions of comparing them both. And I might have something to say in there that's kind of surprising based on what you've heard in the past. And so let's take a look at that. Hey all, we've got the Geo 4 here to shoot as part of our look at this beautiful new gun for Planet Eclipse. And we just want to take some shots with it, get a feel for what it sounds like and what it feels like to shoot, and get a look at it. So here we go. I'm going to try to move a little closer here. It has I mentioned this in my little preview video, where I just kind of did like a first impression of how it shoots, that it has a very distinct two-stage shot. You can hear the first part, which is the solenoid venting, that little kind of hiss sound, and then there's the pop of the shot. You should be able to hear it. It's kind of a two-part thing going on. And I've talked about in the video here, and I'm going to talk about it again after we're done shooting, that it's my opinion that when people talk so much about how soft the Geo line shoots, or any IV core gun, the sound, I think, is a lot of that. When I shoot this back to back with CS2, for example, feel wise, like kick wise, and just like general smoothness, to me, there's very little difference between this and a Gamma Core. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but I'm not including it in this video just because I'm kind of under time constraints. But I shot both of them, played with both of them back to back, shot them both, like handing them off back and forth, back to back, quite a bit. And if you ignore the sound, the feel is not much different. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's different, but it's not, one is not like hugely softer than the other one, in my opinion. Now that said, I really enjoy shooting this. It's really, it is a smooth shot. It has a little bit of a snap to it. It's super consistent. It's really great to shoot. I'm certainly not criticizing it when I say that it isn't hugely different in the smooth department from a CS2. That's not really a criticism. It's really more of an observation. But here, let's get a little bit closer. I'm going to shoot a different angle so you can hear the sound maybe a little differently. And also, just so you know, let me see if we can see this. Just shoot myself in the face would be a great idea. I've got the SFR pretty low, much lower than that, and the shot gets pretty farty, and I'm not really a big fan of it. But you can see it's adjusted pretty low. It's definitely on the slower end of the scale, so it's not like I've harshened it up or anything. So yeah, so let's just polish this off. Oh, I guess that was almost polished off. One more. That's it. All right. Shooting, Geo 4. Okay, so I'm back. I just got done saying that I didn't have time to shoot the CS2, but the more I thought about it, to go on and on about the comparison to the CS2 shot and then not shoot it in the video seemed ridiculous. And that's kind of one of the main focuses a lot of people have is, well, what about a CS2? What about a Geo 4? Which one should I get? You know, priced similarly, both top-end guns, both very desirable. So I've got a CS2 Pro here. I just chromed it, 285 like the other one, and it's like 4 million degrees out. I'm sweating. And I'm just going to shoot this one and talk a little bit about how it feels, having just shot the Geo 4 a few minutes ago, like that. I made that other video like 2 minutes ago. So here, let's shoot this one. Now you can hear this gun does not have that distinctive two-stage sound with the vent kind of psh sound and then the pop. It just pops, it just shoots, right? And as such, I mean, preference-wise, I prefer this shot than the other shot, frankly. I don't really like that sort of farty sounding shot, but, and I'm gonna get, everyone's gonna disagree with me this, I'm sure, especially people who haven't actually shot them. But I have the, you notice I have the same setup, right? Same tank, they're Crony 285, I'm shooting the same paint, same hopper, they both got the same bore barrel. You can't get any more the same, right? The setup for this versus the Geo 4 I was just shooting. This gun feels slightly softer in the shot to me than the Geo 4. I realize that's blasphemy, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. I don't know if you, or what I'm feeling, I guess. And I'm holding this very softly. So I don't know if you'll be able to compare the two in the video if you can see kick. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, right, to see how much kick there is. But I feel like this gun kicks a little less, and it just feels smoother. Like I said, I know that's not the popular opinion and not the traditional thing with IV core versus Gamma core, but nonetheless, here, let me get closer again like I did the other video. They both shoot great, and again, I don't really mean any of that as a criticism. I'm just observing how the two shoot, which is kind of half the point, or most of the point of the video, really. We're just taking a look at it and see what we think of it for folks who don't maybe yet have one of their own or aren't sure what to buy. So let me polish this off, and we'll get back inside and talk about it. One more in there, maybe? Sure, I hear one in there. There it is. All right, CS2 Pro. Let's go back inside. Welcome back. So, yeah, shooting the guns was really interesting for me. From what I've been hearing now, my exposure to IV core guns started with this Geo 4. And before I got this gun, all I read everywhere, and I'm sure if you're on the Facebook BSTs or Reddit or just from talking to people, I'm pretty confident you've heard the same thing, and that is that the IV core is a super soft shot. A lot of people talk about, oh, the gamma core is crap, it's like harsh, and the IV core is the way to go, like no contest, way different. And I had never really seen anything to convince me that my experience would be any different until I got this and shot it. And like I said, when I was outside shooting, much to my surprise, I feel like the vast majority of the difference in the shot, so to speak, is the sound. The feel, it's really hard to describe, right? The feel is definitely different. That two-stage sort of vent and then pop versus the just pop of the gamma core is definitely a much different feeling. But if I try to put that part of it out of my mind and just think about what it feels like when it fires, like how much it kicks, the general sort of impression of smoothness or not smoothness that I get when I fire it, if I just focus on that, not only do I not see very much difference at all, and I've shot them both quite a bit, and I've adjusted the SFR a lot. I mean, I really tried to do a thorough job of making sure that I explored the possibilities with these. I found very little difference in that department, and for me personally, I actually preferred the gamma core shot. Now, one thing that's interesting, I've watched those videos back, and there is clearly a sound difference, not just that two-stage thing, but the actual, like the report, so to speak, of the shot coming out. In the video, the CS2 has a much poppier, snappier shot when you fire it, or a sound, I should say. I can tell you that when you're behind it and you're shooting it, that's really not the impression you get. It doesn't even sound louder, really, than this gun. It's very interesting to me. My impression is that if you currently shoot a gamma core gun, whether it's a 160R, 170R, a CS2, and you've been clamoring for a Geo because you want something that's way softer and smoother than your gamma core, I'm afraid you might be in for some disappointment, frankly. If you are going to give it an honest assessment and you get one of these expecting some sort of magical transformation to velvety soft shooting. I just don't see it. Now, like I said in the video, that is not meant as a criticism. I'm not trying to say that it's harsh. I'm not trying to say that the feel is bad. I'm just trying to describe my experience of how these shoot versus how a gamma core shoots compared to sort of the common wisdom or what you read a lot. And that's just my impression. If you have a chance to shoot them, for sure, shoot them. I mean, the thing is awesome. I love shooting it. It's very consistent. I always mention this in my videos, right? There's that fence post out there. It's like roughly 100 feet away. It's a standard like 4-inch fence post. And the paint I was shooting isn't even very good. And I was just like assassinating that fence post with both of these guns. I mean, they both shoot great. You really can't go wrong. I mean, there's definitely not a recommendation to not buy it. I'm not saying that by any means with regard to the shot. I'm just describing the shot. So, what do I always say at the end of these, right? Should you buy one? Well, there's a couple different angles to considering that, right? I mentioned, and here's a CS1 right here. By the way, I've put a CS2 grip on the back of this because I like that the CS2 grip. One of the criticisms people don't like about the CS1 is that not only is this angle raked out more on a CS1 compared to a CS2 or a Geo, but the grip itself is a bit fatter in this area. Well, you can lightly modify a CS2 grip. It really just involves, I use a Dremel, but sanding down a couple little tabs here that will fit in, and you can pop a CS2 grip right on there, which I've done here. And in my opinion, that goes a long way to mitigating those differences. I mean, you still have a more raked out angle, but the grip feels much more trim to grab, and that's why I put it on here. So this is a CS2 grip, so you know. But I mentioned that the Geo 4 and this gun, CS1, internally are the same gun. And that is true. The same gun, as I said, not like it or similar to it or based on it, same gun. There's nothing different about it. So as you can imagine, the shot is the same. I mean, I can't tell the difference between shooting them at all, shooting back to back. I've got the SFRs adjusted roughly the same. I do notice the ergos a little bit, but frankly, when I'm playing, now that I have the CS2 grip on, I played half a day with this new grip on, and I don't ever notice the ergo difference playing. I notice it when I sit on my bench and like fiddle around with it, but playing, I don't even notice it now. So yeah, the shot is the same. Solenoid's the same, both serviceable solenoids, unlike those Geo, the Geo 3, Geo 3.5. So that's a positive. And you can buy these on the used market for under $600. I think I have. I don't remember exactly. Maybe I got $550 into this one. And the shot is the same. So on the basis of pure function, I mean, should you really be spending this much money, $1,200, when you can spend, I don't know, $500, $600 and get the same gun? That's a good question. Obviously, this is a brand new gun. These are getting on in years now. I mean, you can find them in nice condition. This one's beautiful. I mean, it's in great condition. It has this little tiny spot right here, and that's it. The rest of it's like mint. But there's no changing the fact that it's not new. And as such, it will probably require more maintenance at some point, maybe some parts or repairing at some point. So you're kind of, on the one hand, it's definitely apples to apples because the guts are the same, right? But just because this one's more expensive doesn't necessarily mean just automatically it's a bad idea and you should buy one of these, because not everybody wants to buy a 5-year-old gun or 4-year-old gun, right? So if you're in the market for a new premium gun and you have that budget, this is an excellent choice, certainly. If you want this kind of shot and performance and your budget is really being strained and you're kind of thinking, well, geez, I mean, I really like that thing, but isn't there a way for me to, kind of approach that same kind of performance, but maybe be easier on my wallet? If that's what you're thinking, 100% find yourself a CS1. Because like I said, same guts, same shot. It weighs a little bit more. You know what? I weighed it, and I'll be honest with you, I forgot to put my little numbers down here to tell you the difference. It was just a couple of ounces. It was not a big difference. It is a tiny bit heavier. Like I said, the ergonomics, the rear grip is raked out a little bit. But yeah, if your budget is strained and what you really want is the performance and you're okay with a used gun, 100%. This is a huge value, given the fact that people are all googly eyes about spending $1,200 for this, and you can spend $5-something and get what is mechanically performance, shot, feel, etc., the same gun. So if that's the case, 100% go with the CS1. If you have that budget and you're looking for a new premium gun, then the reason I picked the CS Pro, now to be fair, this gun was essentially new, and this was a used gun, but it was barely used. These new, I think, are CS2 Pro. They come with the full barrel kit and a couple of triggers. I think they're like 1,700 new, but there's lots of them around, so you can buy them lightly used and in really nice shape. Like this one is absolutely perfectly mint. I paid $1,200 for this. Which makes it essentially the same price as one of these new. So if that's your kind of budget and that's the level you're looking at and you want a new or essentially new premium, really nice marker, these are both excellent values. I don't have a recommendation for you like this one is the one and that one sucks, or that's a waste of money and this one is the deal of the century. Nothing like that. They both shoot lights out. They're both amazing. I personally prefer the Gamma Core. Lots of people prefer the IV Core. Like I mentioned, I will say that if you are a neglector of guns, right, if you tend to let the maintenance kind of stretch out and you're thinking to yourself, well, let me see, when's the last time I maintained my gun or did my, my clean and lube, and you're thinking in terms of months, then really a Gamma Core is for you. If you, like I am, I do my guns, I take them apart and clean them and check them and lube them. After every day of play, and it's not because they need it. I kind of got that from when I raced motorcycles, frankly. Does it need that maintenance? No, but it gives me an opportunity to learn my marker better. It gives me an opportunity to kind of go over it. Maybe I'll find a loose screw or some other issue that I wasn't aware of that right now is minor, but if it had gone undetected for 2 months, it might have gotten to be more serious, that type of thing. So I like to do it every time I play. And if you're that kind of person, or even just you know, follow the manual and stick to the intervals and you take good care of your stuff, this could serve you very well. You really just have to try to find a chance to shoot them both and see what you prefer. It's really a preference thing. They both are super consistent. They feel great. They both have very high quality milling and the finish is great. Aesthetically, I think the Geo 4 is the best thing they've come out with in a long time. This milling kind of, for me, sort of harkens back to a time when manufacturers cared more about the milling. Like, a lot of guns are kind of boring to me now, frankly, and they actually put a little bit of effort into making this thing look cool, in my opinion. And the effort paid off. I think it looks great. I think it's the best looking Planet Eclipse gun that you can buy new right now. So there you have it, Geo 4. What do you think? If you like what you see here, I would sure appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe. I'd like to hear what you think in comments below for sure on this one. I know that people are going to disagree with me about my comments regarding which core is actually a softer feeling shot, etc. But I really like to read about it. It's just an opinion. These are not facts. They certainly have nothing. Oh, and you know what? Let me back up for half a second. To be clear, all that discussion about feel and sound and soft or not soft or all that stuff, none of that, for those of you who don't know, has anything at all to do with performance in any way whatsoever. Performance issues are things like reliability, like does it shoot every time you pull the trigger? Both very reliable. Velocity consistency. Are they, all else being equal, if you're shooting good paint, you have a good air system on there, you've maintained the guns properly, is the velocity consistent? They both have exemplary velocity consistency, and velocity consistency is accuracy, right? If you can shoot, I don't care what it is, you can dig a Tippmann that's been buried in the woods for 20 years out of the trees, and if you put it over a Crony and it goes 290, 290, 290, 290, 290, you are shooting the most accurate paintball gun on earth. Velocity consistency is everything. And they're both very consistent. All that stuff about feel, nothing to do with performance. It's all preference, it's all impression and opinion. So, take it for what it's worth. But put your comments below what you think. What are your experiences with these guns? Do you think I'm completely out to lunch and the IV core is the softest thing ever and the gamma's harsh? Do you agree? Have you observed the same thing I've seen? I'd like to hear about it. What do you think? Like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Geo 4. Super cool. Thank you very much for watching.